All right. Well, we appreciate you taking the time. I understand you're a busy man, and I can only imagine how busy it is leading up in the next closing week and a half or so. So,
Yeah, yeah,
uh,
it's crunch time right now, so it's good.
I can only imagine what kind of crunch time that entails. Uh, so you got
It,
about
it I would say it's gotten a lot better with us going into our 6th year now. Week is not nearly as hectic anymore. I think we've just spread that out over the timeline a lot better. In the early stages, I remember going off like on an average 3 hours of sleep for a week straight. I think we got it down now where it's like we have most of our whole team is still here on site at the office. We're getting a far more organized. So
I remember that it's going to take me 6 years to get my stuff together here at my own job to streamline it. So that'll be good. The first one we really had is just kind of what's the origin story of the whole Granite Games and how it's grown and evolved over the years. And I'm sure you've given that story more than once, but I mean, from where it's started to where it is now is obviously pretty substantial.
yeah, it was back in 2011. We had opened up CrossFit Fast Factory. Prior to that, I was a hockey player and did a lot of summer off-ice training with high school kids, college players, even pros. Trained a lot of my peers, and it was just a passion. I had a passion for helping athletes get to the next level. I ended up tearing my ACL and thought it was a good time to, if not then, if whenever, to open up a gym. And the moment was right. So we opened up our gym in May, and we kicked off actually with a women's only boot camp. An athlete joined the gym who's still a member today, and she had never played a sport before, and I kept referring to her as an athlete. I had a very sports mindset, still do it that now today, and I kept calling her an athlete, and she's like, "Coach, I'm not an athlete. I'm just here to lose some weight." And I'm like, "No, you're an athlete. Here, you're an athlete." And we created the Cloudy Town Throwdown. It was 49 athletes. It was supposed to just be in-house, and I was actually kind of shocked that people actually showed up. It was before like really popped up, and she competed in it. She had a blast. And then we did it the next year. We had 99 athletes, and it was a lot more fun, And then all of a sudden we made the leap to say, "Hey, look, we're going to take it to the university." We rebranded it as the Granite Games, and we were supposed to cap out at about 299 athletes. So that was 3 times bigger than what we dealt with the year before, which was a huge undertaking. And that's when the road started to get involved in, these really important companies that, Reebok, that made it possible for us to do this. And we oversold. So our registration crashed, and all of a sudden we had like 500 athletes signed up, and we sat down and we're like, "What do you do? Do you tell these people no? Like, how do you make the phone call? Hey, sorry, we're randomly picking people and you don't get to compete." So we made it work. Is when we expanded to 2 venues, and it jumped up, registration jumped up, and we sold out, we jumped registration to 1,200 athletes, and we sold out in like 5 seconds or 30 seconds, something crazy. We brought the qualifier in, what would be last year, and I think there was, mixed it up, but there was, quite a substantial number of athletes, and we brought the 3rd floor in last year, and this year we'll have 3 floors. We had about 13,000 athletes through the qualifier, so it's been just a steady climb, and it's been a lot of fun. I can't really say it's been a really neat journey.
No kidding.
That sounds like it. How cool to be a part of that.
Yeah, I actually had the person I respect that is pretty substantial in the fitness market just texted me, and all he wrote was, "Isn't it cool that you run the Granite Games?" And I just kind of laughed, because even to this day, like, I still think of it as like the little Cloudy Town Throwdown. I don't think of it as this national brand or international competition. I just think of it as this thing we do in the fall. Mindset's never really changed. It's, responsibilities might be a little bit different, but I don't know. To me, it's just this thing that we've always done. So, I got asked the other day, like, is it stressful? And I was like, I don't know, because you've always been within the system, and I grew as the event grew. It's not like I'm not brand new. Somebody didn't throw me in this position. Like, I feel bad for some of our team members who are like getting brought on board and like they're hopping onto a train that's doing 100 miles an hour. I just kind of got aboard very on, and some of our team did, and I think they're a little bit more accustomed to the speed at which we move.
Sure. So does this take you all year to plan and recover from, and then just get right back into the next year of planning for?
Yeah, I was talking about it at lunch the other day with a good friend. I said, post Granite Games, you go into about a 30-day, I don't want to call it a depression, but you go into like a 30-day like numb. So coming off this high of adrenaline, you don't sleep for 7 days. It's pretty intense, to put it lightly, and it's this culmination of a dream. For many ways, I imagine like a white or a woman get married every year. Like she plans this wedding, and it's this big extravagant event, and you're in charge of making all these decisions, and all of a sudden it happens. And so all of a sudden you wake up on Monday and there's like nothing. It's very, it's crazy to ride like a roller coaster and then get off, and all of a sudden you were to like walk around the theme park and there's nothing there. And so you go through like a 30-day kind of just like this, you don't really know where you belong anymore. You're not like in charge of decision making. It's just kind of done. And then you get your energy back and you start to plan a little bit for the qualifier and start to put some dates together. We start to do a tentative calendar in November. So, we're working on the event 12 months out of the year. You have to. It deserves, the athletes deserve that type of commitment.
You said you got a team now. How many people does it take?
Well, on site, I think we're up to about 500 volunteers. I always refer to it as a green machine, and those people are amazing. The volunteers are second to none, the way they work together. I would say year round, you got 5 to 10 that I don't think any of us are technically like full-time. We don't have, the Granite Games doesn't have a full-time employee. It's all kind of just people that get involved, and throughout the year in that 12-month span, people are involved at different levels. Obviously right now we're ramped up, so as soon as we get within 60 days, we pretty much pull all of our directors in, and they start sitting in meetings, and the other 10 months out of the year, it's really 4 or 5 of us are talking regularly on it, and then we have another 5 people that are like popping in, helping with certain things, but it's not a full-time job for any of us. I own a gym. I do, we're all, like I have a shirt on that says, this is not my day job. Nobody's day job is the Granite Games. Like we're all gym owners or athletes, or, everybody's got an actual thing they do on, the 5 or 9 to 5.
Pretty cool to have passionate about it. See it all play out.
Yeah, it's, I don't know. I wish others could experience it. I still remember to this date the first snatch that he hit at the Hollenbeck Fieldhouse when we moved the event, and just I was like almost crying. I had chills going up and down my spine, and to this day, I remember like we were on the radios, and I just remember calling out to the rest of the team like whatever the date was. I think it was 2013 Granite Games is live, and it was just like thanking everybody. It was a crazy rush of emotions. And what's weird is that's how we stayed. Like that first workout that kicks off the event is just it's a weird, this energy that hits you that you've built up to this. It's the same thing with the qualifier. When that first video gets launched, the first thing I'm completely panicked is, did it launch on time? And how are the athletes going to react? Like, are we going to get just, slammed because the workout doesn't make sense, or, it's too complex, or are they going to love it? Like we want our athletes to have fun, but be challenged, smiling. Like this is not meant to be easy, but it's meant to be worth it. And so it's a lot of pressure at the same time.
So who's the mastermind creating the workouts then? Is that you?
Yeah, we're launching workouts right here on this little whiteboard. We just launched all the workouts just went live about 10 minutes ago on the website. So I think I did the math one day. It's like 100 variations of workouts that have to be written. So this year was the best year. Last year was the worst year for programming, in the sense that I went through swipes where I completely deleted the entire document. So in each document can take, each document is, 10 pages deep. And so imagine writing a book and saying you change one thing and you delete everything. So there was many nights I stayed up till 3 or 4 a.m. last year. I also thought last year's programming was one of the most unique and I think unexpected challenges with the Minnesota triathlon and things. And this year we're getting unique with sandbags and doing more strongman stuff. So it's every year's got a theme, and it's just how well that theme comes together.
Sure.
So this year's definitely, I would say it's high skill, but it's also a little bit of endurance based. And then it's a lot of strongman stuff. Last year was, a little bit more pure cross functional fitness, and that was a big outlier. How are people going to respond to doing a 55-minute workout?
Wow.
Yeah, that doesn't sound like any fun.
We know a guy that's training, and I know that I think I talked to him Monday, and he was scrambling to try to find a place with some Atlas stones because he was trying to get prepared for the strongman side of things.
So the Atlas stone, you can kind of get your hands under it, and you can position yourself appropriately. We had one of our coaches demo the 150 bag on site just to test the workout, make sure loading was appropriate, and the distance. And she took 5 minutes just to figure out how to and then once she was able to understand, it wasn't the technique, it was like, how do you get your hands underneath this thing and get leverage under it? And once she was able to practice it 4, 5, 6 times, she was able to pick it up quicker, but it was easier. The sandbags, I think they're gonna blow people up in a good way. And the fact that they're running a 300-yard sprint as fast as they can, pick it up, is going to be something they've never trained before. So sure, they've done strongman stuff, but literally go run, for as fast as you can, and then put something really, really heavy on your chest and try to walk with it. I think that workout is going to be one of the funnest to watch, because athletes will have the potential to go unbroken on the walk, but they're going to have to want it way more than everybody else.
That's awesome.
I had a buddy that used to use physio balls and would put water in them. You get like 80 pounds of water in a physio ball, and you have to pick it up and throw it over something. It's the most awkward thing I've ever done.
Yeah, they're cool. I'm just, as a mad scientist, I'm excited to have them in our gym. So
Yeah,
I was just gonna say that.
that's really cool. So how have you seen your gym grow as the Granite Games have grown?
I would kind of call them two different factors. It's there might be even members at the gym that don't even know we run the Granite Games or don't know what the Granite Games is. It's not something that we, talk about here a lot, just because I have a belief that if you come to my gym, it doesn't necessarily mean you want to compete. And it's really weird. We run a pretty big fitness competition, but we're not a competitor's gym. If you come to our, see our gym, I think a nice facility, but our membership is people that just want to live a healthy lifestyle, and we don't impose competing on them. If anything, we have a very small competitors group, and so it's growing. Our gym is growing, but I think they're two independent, linear growth models. I don't think one was not because of the other. So obviously the volunteers and stuff like that help having a membership base, but the Granite Games, we didn't get people coming to our gym saying, "You guys run the Granite Games, I want to work out with you." We have our local membership base, and we have I think 3 or 4 teams competing just like everybody else, and they ask me if they're going to be able to get registered. I'm like, make sure you're ready at 8 a.m. when registration opens. So
I heard one pretty quick this year too again, didn't you?
Yeah. We're definitely gonna have to figure out something for next year. I think it was as fast as 5 seconds this year. It was basically if you got clicked in, you got a spot, and having the qualifiers definitely fixed some of those things. But we've already tossed around the idea of some changes we want to make for next year, especially for teams of 3. I think it'll be time when we start to bring a qualifier in for that, at least for the upper 2 levels, just to make sure that the people that deserve to be there are, and then still create some type of lottery or something where somebody can, they can still have a chance to compete, but I also don't want to make the event all about like a qualifier. Like I think there's something really unique about you're just an athlete and luck of the draw, you got signed up and you get to compete. Like I don't want it to be about the best. I want it to be about the community and people that just enjoy doing this thing together that we all enjoy.
Sounds like quite a good problem.
Yeah, you would think so, but man, do you get some angry emails when people don't get signed up? So
Very good.
it's a good and bad problem. I mean, I totally understand where they're coming from and their frustrations. You know, they do this qualifier, they want to compete, but you know, it's 13,000 athletes this year. You know, hopefully it's more next year. We can only accommodate, you know, so many. This year we're taking 800 more athletes than we took last year. So we'll push over almost 2,000 athletes on site. It'll be the biggest event we've ever handled, and this will really test whether or not we can handle an event that size. I'm pretty confident in our team that it's going to run smooth, but you know, there's always a room for error.
Yeah, I can't imagine the things that must come up with an event that size. You just can't even prepare for it.
Yeah, and luckily we've, you know, knock on wood, we've had some good luck. I really hope that, you know, with putting a full floor outside this year in the football field, I really hope the weather stays good. We have a workout plan for the community teams Sunday evening that'll take place around 8 o'clock under the lights, and it's just it's a fun workout. It's, you know, a long run, and they are pulling this super heavy sled, and I think it's going to be one that if the fans stick around for it, I think it'll be one of the funnest workouts to watch. Like that last round is just going to be, everybody will be able to move at the same pace, but it's going to be who's willing to push through. So, and anytime you can get the lights on, I think it's a pretty cool feeling.
Yeah.
Always a good thing.
So is the university pretty receptive to this event then?
That's a good question. I'm an alumni of St. Cloud State. I played hockey there, so definitely had an in when I came to them with this idea. They were not receptive at first at all, and we had to do a lot of begging. And I think a little bit of like this blind luck that they really didn't know what we were doing. Us to do it the first year, and then the fact that like nothing blew up in our face and we didn't ruin any of the facilities. Got our foot in the door the second year. And then by now, yeah, we have an extremely good relationship. But I think if they would have known what we were doing on year one, they would have said, "You're crazy, get out of here." And, you know, we work really close with them 12 months out of the year. It's the same group that we've been dealing with. And I think they understand our mission and what we're trying to help them achieve. And so I think, but like any type of trust, like they had to see what we could do. And, you know, you can say a lot of stuff, but you got to back it up.
I gotta think it's good for the school though too. You're hosting it there, and people are getting. I mean, they're getting that exposure, and I mean, maybe it's gonna make people want to go to school there.
I was thinking about this, the economic impact.
For sure. Oh yeah.
Yeah, the economic impact's really interesting. School-wise, I think it does give them some good like, you know, marketing, but it also, I would say it's also disruptive, right? Like school's going on, we have over 4,000, 5,000 people coming into town, but right to like, you know, a very condensed area. So it kind of messes with their parking. It's just, you know, so the economic side, working with the city, hotels are booked 45 miles away. Just our event is, you know, hugely a travel-based event. You know, the 5-state area, yes, but really a lot of people are flying in. I think, you know, people are flying as far as South Africa, Australia, Europe. So I mean, there's a lot of travel too. So it can be a little bit. It's great for the economic impact, but it's also challenging trying to find hotels for these, you know, people that they want to come compete. And there's just not the beds there.
How about with you know, big CrossFit Games? Do you communicate much with them to not overlap on even similar types of workouts and those kind of competitions, or are you guys completely separate from one another?
I don't know how they would answer this, but I will publicly say I really research what everybody else has done because I don't want to copy them. And so a lot of times I'll write one version of the Granite Games But I have to wait till July hits because I don't want to emulate what's happening in California. For one, I don't want to seem like we're trying to copy them, but two, I want it to be different. I don't want to copy them. I want our thing to be our thing. And so, if we're going to have this workout, that I had a huge fear that last year they were going to use skiers in it. That's kind of like our big secret, first time they've never been really used. And so I was really hoping they weren't going to get used. And so there was definitely workouts that I scrubbed last year, and there was workouts I had to scrub this year that they were just too similar in nature. Whether it was a speed ladder or something like that. I mean, it's okay to do something, but I don't want to do it like literally 2 months after. I think we can be a little bit more creative than that and keep it fresh and, give our fans something different to watch, or even the athletes, like so.
It's respectable. So where do you see the games going from here on out in 2 years?
It's a really hard question to answer. We've had other cities approach us about bringing the event there. I'm from St. Cloud. I'm born and raised, love the city. The other side is there's so much logistics to the event. I think it'd be hard to move it, but we've definitely looked at moving it to bigger areas. It's just, where else can you take over a complete campus like we do? What I really, really hope the event turns into, though, or continues to progress to, is I really hope that it continues to be known for a safe and fun event, and athletes of all levels can come and get their first competition in, or athletes that are striving to go to regionals or the games can use us as a measuring stick. And so I hope that our qualifier continues to grow and more people can experience the Granite Games. And then I hope that we continue to have a lot of fun on site, and more people come and experience it.
Sounds good.
Yeah,
Like, good goal.
it is. Okay.
Well, we want to be respectful of your time. It sounds like you're plenty busy, but we always try and finish up our episodes with a few questions that we ask everybody. So if you're good for those, we can dive right in.
Yeah, hit me with them.
So one of the first ones is if you could go back and give yourself a call, and we usually say 10 years or so, but I think if we even said when you got started with this whole thing, what advice would you give yourself?
I would say the advice I would give myself would be the storm is going to be worth it. And totally not ashamed to say, but I remember after 2014, I was like completely broken by the event. I remember working so hard those previous years, and financially we had lost so much money on the event. And it just like, you're this guy that's like, no, we're going to keep pushing through, this thing's going to work. And it wasn't until like our 5th year we even broke even. And I just remember sitting there one night, and my wife walked in, and I had sent out an email to the staff and said, we're done. I've never even told anybody this story. I told everybody on our staff we're done. I was going to shut the Granite Games down. I was going to make a public announcement the next day. And my wife walked in, Jessica, and she's like, she called me out. And I think that's part of what makes a great marriage and a great friend, is somebody that can call you when you're being a little soft, to put it gently. And she gets me to read it. And I chewed on it for a while, and it was 2015, we gave it another shot. And 2015, we finally didn't lose our face on the event. And, as much as we all love the event, we can't lose money. I can't, it's got to break even at bare minimum. And it was interesting because we had a fun year in 2015. We've had a fun year this year, but man, was I broken in 2014. And I just think about so many times in people's lives where you are broken. It's that old cliche, it's always going to be darkest before it becomes light. And that was it was that moment that she told me to you got to give it another shot. You owe it to yourself to not quit. You need to see this thing through. If it kills you. And because I literally thought at that point I was crazy. What am I doing? Time and effort in, and nothing's paying off. And you start to get a little bit, whiny or, frustrated, or you start, that self-doubt creeps in. And so I guess if I was going to tell myself anything, is just ride the storm out and trust yourself. Don't just keep pushing. So
Awesome.
That's really cool.
Sounds like you got a hell of a woman.
Yeah, no doubt. So what besides her kind of prodding you, you didn't send the email? I mean, what did you?
no, I sent the email out. That's how she found out. I sent it out. I was sitting there and I just wrote everybody. She got CC'd. She's a part of the event, so she's part of staff. I CC'd her on it. And she just walked in and she's like, she didn't even like give me a chance to talk. She's like, you owe it to yourself not to quit. Like, are you really going to quit on this thing? And I was kind of taken back because she normally isn't aggressive. And I was like, kind of like, I fought back and pushed back. I'm like, you don't know how much I've tried. And like, I've done everything. And she's just basically told me to shut up and like, I need to do it another year, and called me a quitter. And I was like, we were like, at this point there was no longer a talk. It was like us fighting. I was trying to defend my stance that I had done everything I could. And she said, doesn't matter. Like, you got to try one more year. Like, you owe it to yourself and the people to give it one more shot. I mean, it was, I don't know. I got to imagine it. I've never done a marathon or something like that, but just, I've never been broke like that. I've played professional sports. I've done a lot of things. It broke me. Like, I was broke right in half. I have no problem saying it now. But yeah, she just told me to like basically, sack up and quit being a baby. Luckily, here we are.
Yeah, how cool. Awesome. That's really cool.
Probably use a little bit more of that in our lives. Second one is, what is something you believe that others may not? And that can be in the fitness, health world, or just kind of in general.
Well, one, I'm a big conspiracy person. I don't know why, but I love them. Everybody loves to just wonder what if, but I am a firm believer, whether or not others believe it or not, that I don't care who you are. If you say you're going to go do something, you literally have every possibility to do it if you want it. Like, you'll figure it out. And when we opened our gym, I didn't have any money. Like, completely broke. I remember having 1 cent in my personal bank account because if I took it out, they'd close it. And I just had this blind faith that this thing was going to work. And I remember so many people telling me that the Granite Games would never work in St. Cloud, Minnesota. Like, who the hell's going to travel here? Or this gym that we have would never work. Nobody's going to pay to get that. I think St. Cloud got rated like the least fit place, and now I think St. Cloud's really changed. But at the time, things weren't like great. And here you have this guy quitting to do these things, and people thought I was nuts. But I think if you truly believe in yourself, that's the first step. And so that's the one thing I believe is I believe that everybody should start believing in themselves and follow whatever their dream is, because life is way too short to do shit you don't like.
I like it.
That's cool. Very motivating.
Before we get to kind of the third one, just curious, you seem like you would probably do book recommendations?
Big reader, actually big listener. I'd get a lot of crap if people heard that I said big reader. I listen to books all the time. I love Talent is Overrated. I think that's a great book, and that's kind of where my mindset stems from. Good to Great is an excellent book. I mean, I've got a list of like 50 I could give you. If it's business, I think Traction is a great book for like operating systems. We use a lot of that stuff with Granite Games. And yeah, I think Talent is Overrated. David and Goliath, anything Malcolm Gladwell is I think a great thing to pick up. So I guess I don't have one because, I like to consume.
Multiple's good. I can add them to my list.
Yeah.
All about that.
I'm a big Malcolm Gladwell fan myself.
Yeah, I really love the story about David Goliath in the book David Goliath. I thought that was just, a really unique story. And there's his series of books are really excellent. So.
Cool.
The last one, fitness purchase.
What's your most influential purchase for $100 or less? Fitness.
I saw that question.
For you, this is like really good, I feel like, after you set this whole thing up.
Yeah. It's funny because I don't remember the last time I got to just spend $100 on something, because it seems like nowadays with Granite Games or us building this gym out, everything is just, it's expensive.
Yeah.
But I would say a book or knowledge or a course or anything that's going to better you is always the best money spent. You know, I was giving a speech at a conference, and I was talking about this truck that I got. You know, I'd always driven around these trucks that you're kind of scared to pick up a girl in. Like, yeah, this isn't mine. I'm just borrowing it from a buddy. My truck's being fixed. And so I got kind of a nicer truck finally, and, you know, I worked hard for it and paid for it. I was super proud of myself. And I remember 2 weeks in, I was like, I didn't care about it anymore. Like, I didn't think it was cool. And what I've really learned is it's nice to have nice things, but, you know, going out and buying that watch doesn't make you like a better person. Having a nice house, having a nice table, having a nice gym, any of that stuff doesn't improve you. Like, it literally has no impact. From the surface, people might think you have shit figured out, but really the investment into self-knowledge and improving yourself is the best practice. That and an AED in your gym is probably the two best purchases. So I know AED is far more expensive than the $100, but I would say a book, actually $2. I would buy Traction, and I would probably buy Count is Overrated. I would start there.
Cool. Awesome. I like it.
Good. I think that AED falls under priceless. It just is.
Yeah. I remember it was 2 years ago, a year and a half ago, we bought our AED, and our new gym is about 15,000 square feet. So we have a floor scrubber now. Thank goodness, because you couldn't mop it.
Yeah.
But I wanted a floor scrubber in the worst way. But I refused to buy one until I got to hang up an AED, because I knew I would never be able to live with myself if I made the purchase of buying the floor scrubber, but not buying the AED first. But we needed the floor scrubber. I mean, the floor scrubber is like the craziest, greatest tool to a gym owner. Like, it keeps your floor so clean. It really is efficient. But I just remembered, like, you have to have an AED because there's always just the what if. You know, and it's the same thing like Granite Games. We have ambulances on site, we have doctors on site, we have a PT, we have like the full basically medical team for if shit ever hits the fan. And we've never used any of it, but I would never be able to live with myself if we weren't. It's not like I don't want to call the ambulance. I want it there. I don't want to call a doctor. I want, like, you got to be ready because it's just a matter of if. And I think any gym owner that's serious about running a gym, safety first before they buy a squat rack or a barbell or those things. You can do a lot with just bodyweight movements, but having an AED, like, it's essential.
That's really refreshing to hear. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie.
It falls right in line with you talking about, you know, having a safe event and being fun and everything too. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, there's always lots of things I want to do, but you gotta, ultimately, I'm responsible for people's safety. I mean, they got to be smart on the floor, but, you know, a little bit falls on, like, you got to think about, like, the week and everything coming together. So I think there's a lot that goes into programming. Anybody can slap workouts together, but, like, I try to hopefully care a little bit more that, like, you know, we're putting time and effort in. Because if I got to write all the stuff I'd write, the heaviest workouts and the hardest, and, like, you know, really get to test them. Like, if I always wanted to program King Kong for Granite Games workout, I think it's just a sweet workout. But it's like, over 3 days and all that volume, it may not be the right thing. So.
Out of curiosity, what do you do with all the equipment stuff that you do buy for each year's competition? Stock it at your gym or resell it?
No. So our gym has got all its gear. So this year we work with Rogue. Rogue's been lights out. We literally could not have done what we did without Rogue. So they'll send a couple semis in, we'll build out, and then we'll pack up and ship out. Concept 2 this year is graced us with their ergs, so we purchase those and then we resell them for the price we buy them. So the stuff we do sell, we're not trying to make a profit on. If any of the owners are getting, you know, fairly good conditioned equipment in and can improve their facilities. But yeah, we in previous years we would take and maybe keep the plates, you know, and we kind of have our facility set up how we like it. And so now it's if we have something, we'll sell it at what we bought it for, and then if not, ship it back to Rogue, you know, and so get ready for the next year.
Very nice. Well, then, just in closing, you want to give any plugs, shout outs where people should find you, any more information, I don't know if there's a live stream, but if there is where they can check that out, go.
Yeah. If people are interested in the Granite Games, just hop on www.thegranitegames.com, and hopefully at some point we get to cross paths, and I'd love to hear their story about the first competition. So I mean, I just appreciate you guys having me. So thank you for giving me your time as well.
We appreciate it from you.
Yeah, good up.
Good luck on the rest of the setup and preparation.
Yes, absolutely. So thank you guys for having me once again, and we'll talk soon.
Sounds good.
Thanks,
John. Thank you.
See you guys.
Thank you for watching this episode of Clinically Pressed. If you want to go check out our full site at clinicallypressed.com, we'll have links to all our episodes, our insights, and coming soon, CP shorts. Also, while you're there, we are starting to offer online courses, with our first one being Dr. Jacob's Weight Loss 101, so check that out. You can find us at any podcast outlet and YouTube. While you're there, if you could give us a thumbs up or a rating, that would be great. We've heard it really helps. Also, check out our blog at totalathletictherapy.com, where you can sign up for our free weekly newsletter that summarizes all of our posts, plus provides you with some other extras. Thank you again for listening, and we hope to see you again soon.